The Evo Shift 4G is a follow-up to the original Evo 4G that was released last year. This one was released on January 6th, 2011, for $149.99 after a 2-year contract. This phone is available for Sprint. It is a 4G device, has WiMAX radios inside, and hardware-wise, it does differ a lot from the original Evo. This one has a 3.6-inch WVGA LCD as opposed to a 4.3-inch, a lot smaller. And you'll notice that if you've ever used a 4.3-inch phone. It does not have a front-facing camera like the original Evo does. That is a proximity and light sensor up at the upper left next to the speaker grill. And underneath the speaker grill is an LED light. And at the bottom of the screen you can see a set of 4 capacitive buttons: home, menu, back, and search. On the left-hand side of the device you can see the micro USB port for charging and data sync. And then you can see the volume rocker up and down switch. On the right there is nothing. I would have preferred a camera button here, but that is a theme amongst all HTC phones, so not really surprised to see that absent. On the top you can see the power button and the 3.5mm headphone jack. And then on the bottom is just a microphone hole and no HDMI port. You would notice that that was missing from the Shift 4G. That was on the original Evo 4G. On the back you can see a 5-megapixel camera with only one LED flash and a speaker grill to the right of that. This camera is also capable of recording HD video at 720p. Underneath the hood you'll get a 1500 mAh battery, 2 gigabytes of storage pre-installed with a microSD card pre-installed, and a 512 megabytes of RAM. You also get over 300 megabytes to install your applications out of the box. Processor inside this thing is Qualcomm's MSM 7630 Scorpion processor, 800 megahertz, but with the Adreno 205 GPU, and the architecture is actually a lot faster and a lot more power efficient than the one found in the original Evo. So don't let the megahertz count fool you. This thing is actually performs better than the Evo, and once it eventually gets rooted and modded, I'm sure it'll get overclocked and all that good stuff, and it'll be blazing fast. It's already blazing fast. If I can just show you guys. This is like the little standard test to see how fast a phone is, just kind of swiping through a home screen filled with widgets, as you can see, and it is not slowing down. So Evo 4G was already pretty fast, and this phone is faster than it, so don't let that processor fool you or deter you. One thing I didn't like about the phone is about the hardware actually is the power button is actually kind of flush mounted and kind of slanted into the back of the phone, and that makes for a tough time trying to feel around for the button when it's while you're not looking for it, and then if you finally do get used to its location, it's going to be kind of hard to press it to turn it on and off. So sometimes I have to press this thing 2 or 3 times to get it to turn on or off, and that just becomes a huge pain. And the power rocker, the volume rocker is similarly flush mounted, but it's actually more sensitive than the power button, and that becomes a problem if you're taking it out of your pocket and you might accidentally turn the volume up or down, and that has happened to me a few times. That could be problematic for someone who needs this in an office environment, and they don't. Sometimes they might not notice that their volume is actually on when it's supposed to be off, because it's so easy to turn it up and down. Sorry, I have to do this review with one hand. The other thing I didn't like was the keyboard, and that's supposed to be the main selling point for this phone, but the keyboard is actually not very good. As you can see, the keys are very flat there. Looking at it sideways, but you can just, if you can feel the key, you can just feel it, and it's just very flat. There's no texture to it. There's very little track and feel. When you press it, you get very little feedback, and it's kind of hard to press the buttons to begin with. So I'm not a huge fan of the keyboard on this thing, but if an HTC phone with a keyboard with Android on it is going to be the only option for you, it's going to be something that appeals to you, this is your only option. Then there's that D-pad. You can see that's kind of reminiscent of the original Motorola Droid, and that thing is not very good at all either. That's mainly going to be for folks who want to edit text, and I think it's just easier to edit text using the software that they've included, and I'll show you guys that in the software portion of this review. Other than that, it's a very solid device. Feels good in the hand. A little bit thicker than the original Evo 4G, but that's obviously because of the keyboard. But it's smaller overall, so not much to complain about there. And battery life is actually pretty decent, pretty good actually on this phone. Advertised talk time of 6 hours, and I didn't test that scientifically, but I was able to get quite a lot of time out of this in one full charge and one moderate day of use. And then when I had it sitting out and on for a whole day, it lasted well over 48 hours. So I have absolutely no complaints there. And that's about it. It's not that much different from the Evo. It's your standard HTC product, and it's not going to be any much different than what you get from any other HTC phone, except for that keyboard, of course. And that thing is I'm not a big fan of that at all. So I'm gonna go ahead and take you guys to the software in a minute. See you guys in the next video.